you're not going to be sawing up and down. You're going to be putting your knife in and basically redrawing this. And since I know I have the same line on the other side, I can go through a little bit on the other side. It's best to do it slow so you don't cut too past the line. And at this edge, go down straight. And when you cut through, you'll feel air that's been trapped in there released. You want to be careful at these edges, so I'm just coming up a little bit there with my knife, and now I've totally connected there. Same thing here. I'm going to draw it. If you see, like you can see that the clay moved a little bit there, that's not too bad. But if you see your whole side moving when you're cutting, then you want to wait a little bit. That means you're not quite dry enough. Because you should be able to put pressure on it without it warping very much. If it warps now, it will warp when it's fired. Again, a lot of times it's easier to move the clay piece than for you to be cutting at an awkward angle. So you always want to make sure that you have control. It's much easier to just move that piece. It's much easier to go from the top to the bottom. You have much more control than if I was trying to go out in the other direction. So again, here I'm going to very gently go over to that side and make sure that that angle is free. If this side is moving a little bit more, it might be just a little bit softer than the other slabs. Sometimes that happens. All right, I think that's it then. And then once you open it, you can see that there's a lot of slip in there that we didn't have a chance to clean. So that's what we're going to do now. We want to make sure that we'll start with the top. And you can actually, sometimes the slip is soft enough so that you can actually just, as long as you support the wall with your hand, you can actually just smooth it with your finger. This is pretty soft, so that's definitely doing it there. But you want to make sure that you don't pop the side out. Then if you want to clean it a little, you support it on the table so that you can scrape it out and put pressure on it. A lot of times it's a good idea to actually save these little pieces because sometimes you need it someplace else. You have a little extra in one place and then maybe not enough in another place. Like over here. If you see any kind of little crack or anything, you definitely want to put some slip there. So I'm just sealing any kind of crack I might find with this extra slip. So in here the edges can actually be slightly curved. I'll show you when we're finally got it all. This is another corner where I could use a little bit more. Yeah. So if there's any kind of little crack in there, like that's the seam, but we also don't want so you can smooth it with your hands, with your fingers, or you could also use some of the tools we have, because I'm not left-handed, but I'll try. So you can actually clean it this way. All the different sides. More right-handed. And then anything in the middle. Any extra clay, you're going to get off. What you're not going to do is touch this edge over here. So we'll do that. We're going to do the same thing inside here. So you can see that inside there's a lot of slip that hasn't been removed. So first and foremost, I'm going to go in and just remove some of the really excessive. And also we're checking the edges too. All right. So then you can use your fettling knife. Instead of using the actual knife part, you use a rounded thing, and you can start a design that's really kind of random. If you start with just lines that are symmetrical, and you go from the outside in, it's almost like you can't go wrong. So whatever line you do on one side, you do on the other side. And then it essentially looks like a kaleidoscope when you're finished. That's pretty much it. And then I'm going to do similar. Then you just take whatever is at the edge, and you can just move it into the other side. Just bring that design, have it come over the edge. So it just comes over the edge that way. And you just continue it in a kind of a random pattern based on the design that you have on the top. So when you have a straight line, it can come down and connect. When you have another line, so you can see how the design comes over and then just comes down, and so the sides will have a different design than the top, but it's based on the design that's on the top. And it can be free form and changing, as the design that I have now is. So this side is a little bit different than the other side. And then I'm going to continue all around here, and then I'm going to do all the borders, and I'll even have them come around to the bottom. So the design wraps around on the bottom. So that's an example. That's the surrealistic coffee cup with a table and it's flying off, and the plate full of cookies. And there we go. Then you wrap it up and you let it dry, and you've got your first lidded form.